What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Phaithful Phanatics Show. We are live here on DSM-Media's Philadelphia YouTube and Twitter channels. I'm one half of your host, Dylan Davis. To my right, my faithful co-host, Scotty. Guys, the same way we start each and every one of our live streams, do yourself a favor, do us a favor. Make sure to check us out on Twitter at DSM_media is where you can find us. Hit that follow button, and then check out the link tree in our bio. It will take you to every social media platform we are available on. If you guys want to get your thoughts, comments, questions pulled up on the screen with us, like right here, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Check out that link. Send it to your friends, family, any other Philly sports fans you may know of that could enjoy the content. And get your thoughts posted up with us, guys. If you're watching on Twitter, check it out on YouTube. We cannot see your comments through X 99% of the time. We still do not know why. CJ Gardner-Johnson traded to the Houston Texans for a backup offensive lineman, a fifth-round pick swap.
You don't got to say it like
we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about how we're feeling about this Eagles offseason so far since Monday. We're going to talk about this trade. Right before we went live, the Eagles have signed A.J. Dillon to be Saquon Barkley's backup running back this upcoming season to a one-year deal. The specifics, the financials haven't come out yet, so we'll see what those look like. But assuming probably no more than $1.5 to $2.5 million type of deal.
Yeah.
As he comes off of a season-ending neck injury last year. March Madness Conference Tournament Championship week, man. We're going to have a lot of fun with today's show. So whatever you guys want to get into, follow, subscribe, comment. Scotty, my man, happy hump day.
Happy hump day, brother. Happy to be here, of course. Yeah, you mentioned all the latest news with the Eagles. Some of it's not great, but nonetheless, we move. We keep the Super Bowl win in our heads, right? We keep it in our minds to rationalize. And Howie did say that we should expect this, to be fair. So,
Patience is what he's trying to preach.
Yeah, so I'm gonna practice that today and bring myself down. If you'd have talked to me when the trade happened, I might have said some things that I didn't mean. You know what I mean? I might have said some things that I didn't mean. Nothing about Howie Roseman. At the end of the day, I do get it. It's just one of those things where, I had major question marks around it. I still do.
Sure.
But, when you throw the finance, I don't know. It just feels like it can't be the finances, or this would have been like, we could have saw it coming if it was that easy. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
When it comes to CJ Gardner-Johnson, it feels like there's something added, another layer added onto it, something within the locker room or whatever. And then there's obviously, people that have talked to him, or sources that have sources of sources, whatever, but they say, that it needed to be done. And whatever that case is, maybe the information will come out in the future. I think this was the first head scratcher, right? Because we talked about the moves or lack thereof on Monday, and people were freaking out. And it's like, guys, pump the brakes. Still, pump the brakes. This is nothing to legitimately stress over, but it's the first time, I took my hat off. I went, Howie, are we sure about this one? Well, like, why did we have to do this? And here's why I tell you it's a little bit more difficult to deal with than anything else, right? Because Josh Sweat, Milton Williams, Darius Slay, Kenneth Gainwell, whatever, those guys are in the now, right? Oh, we can't give Milton Williams $20+ million per starting next year.
Right.
We
that makes sense.
Give Josh Sweat in the now what he deserves or what he wants, right? The CJ Gardner-Johnson thing was he's already under contract, and this is a year down the road. This move is for a year or two down the road.
Yeah.
This was mainly, if not 100% financial. Jalen Carter, that Milton Williams bag we just talked about? Well, multiply that by 3 if you want to, because Jalen Carter at the time that extension comes is going to become one of the highest paid non-quarterbacks in the National Football League. You can stamp that now. And then there's other guys, right? You're going to have a Nolan Smith. You're going to have a Jordan Davis. You're going to have, I think we talked about, a Cam Jurgens is going to have to be taken care of. He's the only one of the core offensive line that's not taken care of yet. So that's what this is about. And that's why it's frustrating, because we as fans just want to focus on the field. We just want the best possible roster out there. And that's what CJ Gardner-Johnson gave us. And it goes a lot deeper than that. So it's tougher to accept when it's not production wise. It's, man, I'm Howie Roseman. I have to look 2, 3, 4 years down the line. How do I open up room now for what needs to be done?
Yeah.
And I think that's where we got this kind of stalemate going right now.
Yeah, I think it definitely could be something of that sort. I think it could be, the contracts that were given out to like Myles Garrett and Max Crosby and some of these other big name defensive linemen. Maybe that sparked something in Howie. And maybe he didn't read that right. Maybe he didn't think those guys would get those numbers, and maybe they got those numbers. He had to redirect, and maybe that's why it's such like a blindside type of situation where I don't know. I just didn't think when we signed him into free agency last offseason, I felt like that was like righting a wrong because we shouldn't have left him walk in the first place to go to Detroit. But nonetheless, here we are, man. At the end of the day, I do agree with D-Rat. It could be something of that sort, like maybe he went to Howie. But he said, but that's the thing that's conflicting is CGJ says he gets a random call on, the morning of, and it's Howie saying, hey, we got to pay the young guys. We're going to move you. Yeah. So it didn't seem like it was CGJ going to the front office and saying, hey, I want to renegotiate my deal.
But that's definitely something he could have left out.
Yeah.
And B,
yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
B, maybe that's why Howie called him that morning to address the fact that, hey, we need to pay the young guys. What you asked for or what you need, I can't give you. And then CJ went on to say, can just trade me somewhere I can play winning football.
Yeah.
Trade him to the Texans, which you're going to play winning-ish. You're going to play playoff football more than
likely. He can change culture again. Like if he goes to Houston and all of a sudden they're in the AFC Championship, then there's got to be something in this CGJ shit. Because he's went to 3 straight NFC Championships on 2 different teams, wins a Super Bowl with the Eagles. So, like, it's obviously not all CGJ coming in last season. That didn't win us the Super Bowl. But I do think it was an integral part
he was here for a total of 2 years, and they went to the Super Bowl. Both
2
years.
NFC championships. Yeah, 2 Super Bowls. 2 Super Bowl trips,
to
1 Super Bowl win.
This isn't just an Eagles thing.
Yeah.
This is 5-6 years in the making now of those teams disposing of
that's
them,
where I think that's where discretion comes into play, and like where some people have maybe a little bit of distaste with with Chauncey Gardner-Johnson's attitude or his style of leadership. I fucking love it. And so like when somebody says he's overrated, I do understand it because it's true. I overrate him because of the way he acts and the way he leads on the field, the way he'll hit anybody in the mouth, the way he'll talk shit to anybody and back it up. I love that shit. So I do overrate it. So I do understand it. But when I start to think of it down the line like this, like I do get the Jalen Carter thing. So if that's the deciding contract that decides Jalen Carter's situation, fine, that it had to happen. But like if it was like between Reed Blankenship and CJ Gardner-Johnson.
Yeah. Probably not, though, I don't even know
and that's arguable. I understand that because you could say Reed is homegrown. He's got a better personality that fits the team, maybe.
I don't even know what Reed makes, to be honest. I think that's definitely
I think he's due for an extension. I think like he's an undrafted free agent or rookie free agent, whatever.
So that lessens it.
That's one of the guys, right? And then I guess like I'll throw this out here too because you get the Goddard news dropped on it as well. And it's not that we didn't know about Goddard, but it became official news.
Yeah.
We can go seek a trade on the day that CJ Gardner-Johnson is traded as well. And it's like, man, so can like we keep Goddard now? We traded CJ. Like, can we keep Goddard then?
So.
Like that would make me happier.
I hope so. You got fucking
I'm being rational,
gambling dude. He's got thousands of followers, but I saw his tweet earlier, like the Godfather or something is his Twitter handle. He's like part of Dan Silio's crew. He tweets out that AJ Brown will be traded from the Eagles, his sources say. So that one's coming down the pipeline from Mr. Reliable over there.
I will say this.
I
will say this about that. If and I swear, man, I will flip shit if they trade AJ Brown. Like I know that we're not putting any stock into that.
Oh, I'll drop to my knees.
I'll flip shit.
Pause. That sounded bad. That sounded really bad. I meant it in like a
bro. Let me go grab something really quick. Let me go grab something really quick. I got this new Super Bowl T-shirt I want to show y'all, and it just because that struck a chord, but it would at least provide a little bit of consistency of the Eagles basically saying we're not dealing with any personality issues,
I guess,
any media issues.
I guess
it would be ridiculous, Dylan. It would be ridiculous. Give me 1 second, yo.
But those guys decided to just go win you a Super Bowl. So, yeah, no, I don't hold any weight to the tweet. I was just saying it was just pretty funny, all these rumors. But I do agree with Phil here. I do think Dallas Goedert is the next one to depart. And the CJ Gardner-Johnson thing, let's see that. That's tough. That's tough.
I can't really trade this guy.
No,
are you kidding, dog?
No.
Like,
Let's
man.
Let's shut that comment down real quick. But
to go back
to the CJ Gardner-Johnson thing, like the confusing part, because Martian is right here. The confusing part to me is like he just seems like the ultimate teammate, though. Like he seems like a guy you love to have on your side, and you hate if he's not, because he's an agitator. Talks a lot of shit. He gets physical with you. He instigates stuff after the penalty. But like, man, like the Eagles admin after and before the Super Bowl, like he's one of the guys that gets up and is emotional and talks and is a leader in the room. You see, he's not a locker room guy. Him and Saquon belt you're
he's in all the TikToks. He's in all the videos that they do the question.
So I don't know what personality issues he causes internal. Like if he causes any, it's just like his only personality thing is he rubs the opponents the wrong way.
Right.
That's the only shit. So it sucks. It stings.
Yeah.
The problem is it's not fantasy football. And I do think that's something we're going to have to accept, is that how good Howie has been in the draft, how good he's going to have to be. Dude, what did Schefter say? We're going to have up to 20 draft picks over the next 2 years. 11 of them over the next 2 years separated are in the first 4 rounds. 17 of them are in the first 5 rounds. I got news for you. They're all not getting picked. They're all not getting selected. So those will be moved. Other things can happen. So I trust Howie Roseman 199%. There is not a bone in my body that goes, what is he doing? It just, this is what happens when you win a Super Bowl. We're not used to it. Right. Yeah. So we're going to have to continue to hit, and we're going to have to continue to get guys in on rookie deals. Look at a Jalix Hunt from last year. You have Nolan Smith stepping up in a big way. Those are going to be guys that have to step up. Keely Ringo, Sidney Brown.
Something that popped in my head, man, is, if you keep CJ Gardner-Johnson, maybe you just aren't able to re-sign Zach Bond. And reasoning through it like that in my head, that works for me, Dylan. If that's what it took to keep Zach Bond, then that's fine. That's where I'm going to equate it to make myself feel better about the trade, is that we did that to make money for Zach Bond, who was in the middle of our defense, just making plays all over the field. Love CJ Gardner-Johnson, but Zach Bond was better last year for us.
Mm-hmm.
But no, that's something that popped into my head. Like maybe that's something that Howie Roseman, maybe that's what took so long to sign Zach Bond, seeing what that number would be. Then you see how it impacts the cap, and CJ Gardner-Johnson's next up.
I think it's I think it's just as simple as it's not fantasy football, and it's not Madden with the salary cap and 4 trades turned on and off. It's like we sit here and we go, okay, we traded CJ Gardner-Johnson. Who do we get for him? Who's going to step up? Well, nobody. It's a project backup offensive lineman. It's pick swaps. It's nothing that's going to affect play next year or maybe ever for the Eagles potentially, right? And that's what people don't like.
That's what's confusing is when you see the Eagles were in reports or rumored to be in on Justin Reed, though. Like,
right.
That's what makes it not make sense from like a financial standpoint. Like,
because money is going to go somewhere this offseason.
Right? Like it's got to be paid to somebody.
Right. Because
maybe
we extended Saquon, but that knocked Saquon's number down this upcoming year. So the only 2 people, we don't know the financials from AJ Dillon signing, which we'll get to in a second. But the only person you have added to that salary cap number you had opened was Zach Bond.
Yeah.
So there is money that's going to be allocated in free agency. They are going to start spending here and there within the margins, right? So to your point, like I saw a couple things about Justin Simmons. Is he still in Atlanta, or is he not even with a team?
I think he's a free agent, but he was in Atlanta last year.
You know what I mean? Like, so to your point, if you go out, but I guess that's the difference, right, Scotty? Like the CJ Gardner-Johnson thing was, it's not just this year; it's the year after.
Yeah.
That. if you go out
and if he wanted an extension, that makes
go out and
sense.
sign a safety for 1 year, you know what I mean? That's not going to affect
the
a
salary
Jalen Carter
next
extension at all. Yeah, so that's the difference.
And I saw the report of Sidney Brown too. Like they want to give him a shot,
which is fine. I get
to the point of like Zach Bond again. You got Zach Bond for close to nothing last offseason. So if you're Howie Roseman, why don't you feel like you can go out and do that again this offseason in the draft? You have all these picks. Like I do understand it. You can even rationalize it. Same thing with Goddard. It hurts, man. And like Goddard, he's one of the jerseys I have of this current roster. So that plays a part of it. You invest money into these guys and that shit sucks. But I think it's fair to, point out what you have said and what Martian put in the comments as well earlier. 5 teams in 5 years, though, right? Yeah. 2 years in one of the same team, but nonetheless left and then came back.
Right, like what happens a year from today if the Texans have him for 1 year and then don't extend him or re-sign him? Yeah. And now he's on another. Like, is it at not some point? Is there not a message on the wall somewhere that we can't see? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just when they win a Super Bowl, these guys' stock goes way, way up in our eyes, in our mind, right?
Yeah.
It's just funny. When I brought up the Justin Simmons thing, I wasn't even looking at the screen, but Justin Simmons from Pro Football Talk playing for the Eagles is, quote, high on the list. And then the Jets have released linebacker and leader CJ Mosley is the most recent thing to come from Rappaport. So the NFL is a wild place this time of year, dude.
It is, yeah. Just so many guys switching teams right now. It is. It's crazy, but I don't know. You look at what the Eagles have done and you piece it all together. You can make sense of it, I guess. It's just the emotion. Like you said, as soon as they win a Super Bowl, these guys, in a sense, become overrated. And we saw that the last time we won the Super Bowl, and I think that's another fair point to bring up as well, just to argue against myself, I guess. But you look at that 2017-18 offseason, and some of those deals that you made, the Alshon Jeffrey deal, the Carson Wentz down the line deal, like there were a bunch of, I think there was an offensive lineman bad deal that was mixed in there, maybe a defensive lineman.
I think so.
There was a couple bad deals made after that Super Bowl win, and Howie maybe learned from that, right? We saw him trade away Hassan Reddick, and he got ahead of that one. So you do gotta give Howie some credit where it's due at the end of the day.
Well, the Bryce Huff thing, like, can we not shed Bryce Huff's contract? Am I missing something with this?
I saw something like it's like I want to say a $20 million dead cap hit next season, even if you do trade him, dude.
Right. Like, so that is an error of Howie Roseman's recently.
Yeah, that was a bad one. That was a bad
Brian says, stay with me. AJ for the number 4 overall pick and Christian Gonzalez. A, I'm not trading AJ Brown, but B, this is probably the only deal someone would say no to. They are not trading one of the best young lockdown corners and a top 5 draft pick for AJ Brown. That is not happening. But when you sit here and throw that to me, I don't even know that I want to do it. Like, I really do not want to trade AJ Brown. So I don't even.
That feels like best case scenario if AJ Brown is leaving, though. Like, I don't want AJ Brown to go, but if he's going, it better be something like that. And I could probably get over it. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, Christian Gonzalez, like, he is a lockdown corner. To your point, you'd get your choice with the second pick. You'd probably take a wide receiver, maybe Travis Hunter. You can play both positions.
No, I think
I'm sticking with AJ. Continuity, right? Like, continuity. That's the word I'm going with. Continuity from year to year, season to season. That's my main thing with CGJ. He's a core leader from the look of it in that locker room. Same thing with AJ. He's a captain. So, like, I just don't want guys being moved left and right like that, man.
I think this fan base knows it. 98, 99% of this fan base believes it and knows it. And then you have the 2% trolls that shouldn't be listened to. I think this year, for some reason, because of Saquon and because of the defense and the young corners and everything like that. I think it was like somehow lost and forgotten how great and how important A.J. Brown is. I will repeat one last time for the rest of this offseason. The Eagles did not lose a game this year in which A.J. and the starting quarterback started and finished the game together. They did not lose a game. That's the end of story. Add on to it the fact that he's a top 5 player at his position. That's the end of the story.
No, he's the best. He's the best player, Dylan. He's the best wide receiver in the NFL. That's what we're going to tell him so that he just stays here. Like, he's the best wide receiver in the NFL, Dylan. Like, I'll be honest with you. The reason I say that is because I had this conversation with a Cowboys fan earlier. You know my boy Hunter, HP, his little brother. He is a Cowboys fan. His name's Chance, and we were talking. He asked the group, our Dynasty League group chat earlier, who's the better duo, T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, or Smitty and AJ Brown? And of course, as soon as you get into that conversation, you start, measuring guys against one another. Smitty versus T, Chase versus AJ. Listen. What, and this isn't to throw shade at Jalen Hurts. They just played 2 different styles of football here. What does A.J. Brown do with Joe Burrow?
Right. No, I hear you.
Like an air-it-out quarterback. Like an air-it-out
so to your point, so you don't get crushed by some people, it's not the Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts correlation. It is a little bit. But if you put A.J. Brown in Cincinnati's offense with Joe Burrow, like the gunslinging.
That's a better way to put it. That's a better way to put it.
Like it's not like, what does Joe Burrow look like in the Eagles offense compared to Jalen Hurts? It's put A.J. Brown in Jamar Chase's uniform in that offense, in that role with Joe
exactly. Because if you bring Joe Burrow over here, he's probably handing the ball off to Saquon as well.
Right.
Yeah, so that's a good way to phrase it. That's a better way to phrase it. And to that point, because like when you look at what A.J. Brown does, like well on the football field, what is his weakness? What would you say?
A.J. Brown's weakness?
Yeah.
Does he have one? Is he just...
That's what I'm getting at. And you look at Jamar Chase and you say, what's his weakness? Same thing. Like, he doesn't have one. And so, like, when I look at him head to head, it's like they're just 2 different styles of players. And I know that's something that a guy that knows that his player is not as good as that said player would say. So I get it. Like, I'm not out here stamping like A.J. Brown is better than Jamar Chase. The only question that I will ask is why isn't A.J. Brown the best wide receiver in the NFL? Like, why?
He's in the conversation. I don't
exactly.
think
like, why?
Brown's not the best, but A.J. Brown's a top 5 guy on any given Sunday that can be the best player.
How many games did he miss?
How many games did he miss? How many games did he miss this year? 3?
Maybe 3. And he did miss the playoff game last season and a couple games leading up to it. What about his first
I ain't worried about it. I do got to ask Brian. And Pump Man.
For a weakness, though, I guess that would be it. Like, I guess.
Yeah.
What else would you point
injury,
to?
The knee thing, I got you. I just want to ask this semi-jokingly. Brian, how old are you?
I am curious of that.
Because I do swear to God, this dude sees like 27 to 29 next to someone's name and as an athlete and calls all of them old and washed. Like,
ship them out.
Like, AJ's turning 28. Might be smarter to get him out of here and go to the young guys. Myles Garrett was too old. Trey Hendrickson was too, or not Trey Hendrickson. Was it Trey Hendrickson?
It was Trey Hendrickson, I swear, because he's like maybe 30.
Yeah, these guys,
that's so true.
27 going on 28, brother. He is A-okay.
Hey, at least I'll give Brian this. He's consistent.
Oh yeah.
He's consistent. I'll give him that.
To anybody 28 and over, that's an athlete.
No,
anyone over 29 is a no-go. All right. To each their own.
It's not a horrible philosophy. I think there are just exceptions to a rule like that. And A.J. Brown is one of those exceptions. Yeah. Saquon Barkley, an exception. I don't know. I get the youth ideas because Howie has been so great in the draft of late. I get it. I really do.
Yep.
But
and we need him to stay on. We need him to stay on fire.
I'm not moving AJ unless he fucking demands it and he makes it public that he demands it. Like that,
sure.
he has to say it in an interview for me to want or feel the inclination to move AJ Brown.
Yeah. Yeah, I won't even get into that. I was going to say if he did that, what would I even feel? Because like I just do get a little frustrated with it because it's like we paid you, like we extended you before we needed to.
Yeah.
So you got your money, and we just won a Super Bowl, and you just saw the love and what that parade was like. What the fuck do you need to be happy? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
If that was the conversation, if that was it. But
and I think it would flare up that Jalen conversation again as well, right? Like that would be.
But honestly, man, after February 9th, how the fuck is that even a conversation? Flare up what conversation? Oh, he can't give me the ball? What?
I agree. MVP I do.
That you scored in. You can't, like, obviously. I know.
But we're the one that gives the national media stories. So, like, what can I say? We made it up, I guess.
I guess so. But let's move on to the one move that the Eagles have. The one guy from the outside in, the Eagles have.
Yeah, this is the first one. That's a great point.
1 year deal to former Packer running back AJ Dillon. The financials haven't come out yet. Like I said, I'm going to assume this is like 1 year, 1.2, 1 year, $2 million, like somewhere in between $1 and $2.5 million for the backup running back. Bring him in with a plan to be the backup to Saquon. I have no problems with it. I know he's coming off of a season-ending neck injury. I don't know if he played a snap last year. I think he got hurt in the summer. So obviously that I have no idea the specifics and how severe that is and what that comeback looks like. In the last 2 seasons prior to that, I believe he had over 800 rushing yards and over 700 rushing yards. As basically an RB2, him and Aaron Jones were a two-headed monster in Green Bay. He's another quadzilla, quote unquote, that's flying all over Twitter right now. So the pictures of him and Saquon are all over the place. I like it. Like it's fun. Like it's not high risk because it's a backup running back, or it's not high reward because it's a backup running back, but it's semi no risk. Like it's like, who was the dude? I remember we brought in a couple years ago. We've had a few. Rashad Penny we signed. There was one from Detroit that we brought in a couple years ago as well.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Like, oh my goodness.
I was going to say Kenny Golladay, but that's not him. And we also may have brought in Kenny Golladay as well at one point as receiver.
No, we wanted him one off. I know I wanted him on the Eagles one off season, and he went to the Giants.
You know what I'm talking about. He played for Detroit, and then we brought him over.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
Not Swift.
Not Swift. It's the other one.
I forget. But
still out of the rotation due to injuries and shit. But we gave him a shot. He never really made anything of it.
It never worked. And Rashad Penny never really got a shot. It never worked.
Right.
Gainwell is in Pittsburgh with Slay now. No, not Blunt. He wasn't a guy that played for it. Like we didn't use like Scotty said. It's a guy that didn't pan out.
I can't tell you what his name is, quite honestly. It's completely slipped my mind. But he was popular at the time.
But my point is, it's like it's a backup running back to the best running back in football. That you're not going to pay anything on a 1 year deal. Maybe he doesn't even make the fucking team. Yeah. Or maybe he's a solid backup bruising running back. Yeah. It's fine reward and it's no risk. That's what this move is. So
yeah, exactly, man.
To hate it or to absolutely love it is stupid either way.
Has it been like reported that he's going to be the backup running back?
John Clark tweeted that sources confirmed with him that we've signed AJ Dillon to be Saquon Barkley's backup running back. That's what he tweeted.
I don't know. My man Shipley might have something to say.
I hear you.
No, I was just going to point that out as another positive, though, honestly. Like, do have a young Will Shipley in-house who can maybe develop into, like, a Gainwell type of role.
Kerryon Johnson.
That was his name. I knew it started with a K. I was going to say Kevin, but, Kerryon. Yep. I don't know if he took a snap for us.
No, I don't. But like those two guys, like that's what this kind of feels like. Maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't. That's it.
But I mean, you know, I'm trying to think of a good example. I guess Jordan Howard would be a good example of
something that worked out,
something similar that did work out fairly well, right? Like, I don't know. I was going to say Darren Sproles, but we kind of got Darren Sproles like right in his like. It wasn't like his prime, but like he was still shifty as fuck. That's March. Carry on. Hey, look, I'm not gonna be on here to overhype.
No,
Will Shipley. It's not like that. He ran hard.
The best in the world.
He ran hard.
And another thing, right? Like maybe there might be a little bit more emphasis in a guy like AJ Dillon, and that's why they went out and grabbed him because. Is Saquon going to be ran the way he was over 400 carries total on the season, breaking records, 2K, all that, you know what I mean? So, we got another long season. We're trying to get back to that place. He's another year older. Do we want to give him a little bit more time off of those legs next year? So that's something you have to think about as well. But I'm sure it'll be another world where every time Saquon's off the field, like I'll put it this way. Anytime Saquon was off the field, and I know it's not fair because Kenny Gainwell appreciates you. When he came in the postseason, he made a couple plays. Very nice.
Like I would have been fine with Gainwell coming back, to be transparent, right? But it's okay that he left.
When you watch a game and Saquon Barkley last year came off the field and Kenny Gainwell was on the field for 3 to 5 plays in a row.
Yeah.
Did you not want to rip your hair out?
Rip my hair out. I mean, Because I wasn't going to say it's not because of Gainwell's play. It's just the fact that Saquon is not on the field. Like, Gainwell did have some decent showings last year, like with minimal snaps. But no, you're correct. It is rip your hair out because anytime Saquon's not on the field for that amount of plays in a row, it's rip your hair out. I will say this.
My point is, maybe you get inside the 30-yard line of your opponent. Saquon comes out for 2 plays, and it's 8 yards for A.J. Dillon. You're a little less frustrated. Yeah, I don't know. So just something to keep an eye on this year. I like A.J. I like them in Green Bay along with Aaron Jones. Hopefully he's healthy enough to be valuable as a backup to Saquon this year. But that's all this is. Do not get too excited, and don't, freak out. If there's anyone that's out there that AJ Dillon sucks. How I don't know. But
I agree with that. Just to Brian's comment here, I was actually looking that up before he said that. Shipley's actually bigger than Kenneth Gainwell.
Is he really?
He's 5'11", 210 pounds, and Gainwell's actually 5'9", 200. So Shipley's a bigger dog than Kenneth Gainwell too. So we'll see. Like you said, it's a no risk type of move. I'm not going to sit here and get super excited about it, but it's not going to move the needle in a negative facet either, right? Can I just say something about this comment, man? And maybe it's because of the CGJ trade. And I ain't pausing, Martian. Will Shipley's bigger. I did want to say it's bigger. Maybe it's just because of the CGJ trade and how I feel about that. But this gives me Kevin Byard vibes.
Interesting.
Maybe
I'll tell you what. Brian will hate it if Justin Simmons becomes an Eagle.
He's what, 31, 32?
31, dude.
Yeah. He's giving me Kevin Byard signs. Maybe it was just a down year in Atlanta, new scene, right, out of Denver. Maybe it was just a down year with the down team. I don't know. I guess in my opinion, man, you trade CGJ, who just wasn't on an outrageous contract for a safety anyways. Just go in the draft and draft a safety. If that's what you want to go in this youth movement, you want to free up money, let's just not give money out for no reason. I just don't think unless Justin Simmons coming for vet minimum, maybe he would.
The only thing for me is he has the familiarity with Fangio, right? He knows that system. And that's here's what I'll say. I'll trust it because A, you have to at least somewhat trust Howie with that move. But then B, I'm going to trust Vic Fangio to say, I want this guy, or this guy fits like he did with Zach Bond, right? Like he did with someone else. So if Vic Fangio stamps it and says, go get me him, it ain't going to cost a lot. Like, what's Justin Simmons, bro? What's he going to cost you on a 1-year deal or something like that?
Yeah.
So
I don't know. Just talking about it, I can tell. I'm going to hold a grudge on this CGJ thing. Like, I'm not going to be irrational about it, but I can tell just the way I'm feeling about Justin Simmons. I am going to hold a grudge. Like, I will be watching Justin Simmons to see if he's better than CGJ. And he better be. Like, he better be if you bring him in. But
what if he's not as good as CJ Gardner-Johnson, but he's still good, he's still fine, and he's on a 1-year, $6 million deal, and CJ Gardner-Johnson wanted an extension that you couldn't do?
That's a lot of added context.
Is it though?
It is. So, like, if we find out that CJ wanted this crazy contract extension, that will make it make sense. It would. Like, if we find out.
But that's what I think is part of the conversation. But hold on. Even if he didn't want an extension, but it was 2 years from now that his cap number is going to be the problem. But Justin Simmons only here for a 1-year deal, so you don't have that problem regardless.
Yeah. Once again, this is the confusing part. Down to the wire between the Saints, Eagles, and another team or whatever for Justin Reed from the Chiefs.
Really? I didn't see we were like that. Like,
he signed with the Saints, and apparently he picked the Saints over the other teams.
First of all,
it was down to the wire.
There. You fucking loser. You absolute. What numbers did he get? What number did he get from New Orleans to go and take that deal? Because are you out of your mind?
I don't remember off the top of my head, honestly.
My God.
I will say this too, though. This is a great point. I'll go beyond this point, though. Not only do you expect growth from Quignon and Cooper DeJean, you do want to give them space to become leaders within the team as well. You know what I mean? So that was like my main concern with CGJ. Once again, I know I overrate him because of the intangibles, what he brings off the field in a sense. But you look at our team last season; they had leaders on every single level of the defense, right? You look at the defensive line. You had BG. You had guys like Nolan Smith. You had the Jalen Carters of the world, who maybe hasn't developed yet, but can lead by example. In the second level, you had Nakobe Dean, who is by far the biggest leader on that defense. But Zach Bond obviously showed that he can lead too throughout the later stretch without Nakobe. Then you get to the secondary. It's like, well, Slay was this veteran presence. CGJ was a leader in the secondary. You get rid of both of them.
Yeah.
And it's not that I wanted to keep Slay, because no, do not bring him back at this point. I would be even more disgusted with the CGJ move if that happened. But it does beg the question, who's going to lead back there in the secondary? To your point, that's where a Justin Simmons would fill in, any type of vet like that. But it's just interesting. I guess I've worked my way through it, Dylan. I appreciate you hanging in here with me, because
I think it's just something that
I feel like I've gone back to it a couple different times. So I appreciate you.
That we have to accept. We don't have to like it, but we have to accept it, because again, A, it's happened, and B, it's not fantasy football. Like, it's not Madden with the salary cap turn up there. It's much deeper than that. We don't like it, but when you win a Super Bowl, these things happen. You lose coordinators, you lose coaches, you're going to lose players to bigger bags, to lesser teams. It's just this wasn't losing him to free agency. You decided to trade him, so it stings a little worse. And it wasn't just a move for production or next year. It was a move down the line, which we never like to think about. We're not the GM. I want to think about this September. Who can I put on the field to give me the best team? And I think having such a loaded roster like we did this past year, in a way, man, it spoiled us. It spoiled us, because why do the Eagles have X, Y, and Z? Well, Howie's a wizard, but that's not going to happen year in, year out. They are still the team to beat in the NFL. They're still the team to beat in the NFC. Relax.
You just gave me a thought about Howie, and maybe that was the point of him saying for us to be patient here this offseason, right? we always call Howie the wizard financially. We think he's just going to be able to get everybody under the salary cap. But the truth of Howie as a wizard is financially plus the draft. And so that's what we definitely owe Howie.
Which is just a new turn leaf recently. Like, this was not Howie's.
That's true. That's true. Bro, they don't have to go out and win the Super Bowl next year. Like, can I just be real here?
Oh, I know.
Can I be real?
I know.
They don't have to.
No.
I want them to very badly. I want them to go back to back. Yes, I'm hungry for it. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. But I'm not going to flip shit if they don't.
I mean, in the moment, we're going to be angry depending on how things go and stuff like that, and upset. But I mean, Scotty, bro, like let's be somewhat realistic. Is there a good possibility they get back and can do it? Absolutely. They're talented enough. They're everything.
Yeah.
There's a reason teams in pro sports tend not to really go back to back.
Yeah.
And it's just a reason. So like you said, like it's a good possibility. Do I want it to happen with 100% of my soul? Yes. Are we going to be rioting and boycotting the Eagles if they don't win the Super Bowl next year after winning one this year? No.
No.
So, yeah.
I'll be here.
Big news, though. Big news.
Yeah, what's up? What's up?
The Eagles did not tender wide receiver Britton Covey, making him an unrestricted free agent this year.
Interesting. That is actually surprising.
Who's going to return more punts? We're keeping Coop back there?
Right. I will say, I thought I didn't like Britton Covey back there returning punts until I saw Cooper DeJean back there returning punts. Cooper DeJean is very good. He's very athletic. I get the idea behind it. I know he's returned kicks maybe in college and such. He definitely returns interceptions. But I don't know. There was something about him last season, like catching the punts.
Well, first of all, I don't need one of our best players getting hurt returning punt on special teams.
That's a very good point. I thought you were going to say Jahan Dotson, actually. I don't know if that's even possible. He's like a restricted.
Dotson, he has to be under contract. He's not someone I really have heard talked about. Shipley is, I agree, D-Rab. Unless
he has like a 1 year option, him and Jordan Davis. They have, like, I think we have to opt into their to that option. I could be completely wrong. Don't hold me to that. But Britton Covey, I mean, whatever. I'm not going to lose.
You should see. You see the amount of tweets of AJ Dillon being involved in the tush push, which is an hilarious factor that I didn't think about.
Yeah.
They're going to try to now the tush push is getting brought back up again. It's like, here we go, dude. Here we go. They signed AJ Dillon.
Hilarious.
Matt, I just imagine being in like the board meeting for like when they try to pass new rules and stuff. And like, what's the PowerPoint look like? Just like Jalen, Saquon, and AJ Dillon's quads like next to each other on a slideshow. Like,
that's the thing I'm wondering, man. Has AJ Dillon ever played quarterback in his life? Because I think that's why, right? Like, that's why they don't let Saquon just do the tush push.
Or like snap it to himself.
Jalen is so good at it. Like, maybe that is what it is. But if AJ's played, quarterback before, you're used to, receiving the snap. I think that's a big part of it. But I guess also having the option of the quarterback to throw is a big part of it, too.
Oh, for sure.
So maybe that wouldn't work as well, anyways. But
and I love it.
The idea of those two cows or horses, whatever you want to call them, behind
horses. Cows are just fat, bro.
Yeah. I'm just thinking of like wide bodies, though. Just wide asses.
Bulls.
Pause. Violations all over here.
We're bigger. We're getting on knees. A lot of shit's happening. Things I didn't mean to say at all.
Oh my goodness.
It is funny though how like sex and like sports go hand in hand with like some things you say. Cause like you ever see like the TikToks or like clips of like there's no video, but it's like a girl like recording like Chris Collinsworth and people on air and like the shit they say, like shoving it down their throat and it was raining one game and something like just all they put together this montage and they're like, is my boyfriend watching sports or what is going on here? And she's like looking at the phone. It is like you just say some wild terms when you're talking about sports. I mean, I guess in a way that goes with everything in life, but specifically since we do this so much, it's fucking hilarious.
It's so true though. They do. They go hand in hand.
And I'm also a kid, so like everything's funny to me. So like you can't, you can't say anything that's not going to be funny to me. So yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, just to kind of wrap up. We don't have to wrap up, but just kind of
wrap up the
Eagles thoughts, right? Yeah. Or gathering them up further. Dallas Goedert, you think he's gone? Mekhi Becton, do you think he's gone? Like where you at?
The way, like, just reading the tea leaves, right? Listening to what Schefter had to say, and the fact that they did give Goddard the okay to go seek a trade, tells me, like reading between the lines, I don't think Becton's back.
Didn't they do that with Zach Ertz the year before he was traded?
I believe so. Yeah.
He got permission to seek a trade, but he still ended up.
But you had the contingency in place in Dallas already.
Yeah,
you don't have that now. Again, like Grant Calcaterra is not the contingency pass catching threat tight end that I need. So he's got.
Call up he's driving Maryland to Florida, man. That is a hike.
Call up Saquon. Ask him to push you a couple yards. All right, let's move on from the Eagles. We don't have to stay on here much longer. This conference tournament's going on all over the spot, right?
How's our play look?
It is 34-24 with 3 minutes left in the first half. So it's at 58 with 3 minutes left. It's going to be in the 60s more than likely. Knock on wood. No scoring drought.
You need 136. Is that what it was? 135 and a half?
Yeah, I mean, you get in the 60s with a spread that low in the first half, you're okay.
Yeah.
So March Madness, man, right around the corner. I know we talked a little bit about it on Monday. On Monday, we only had 5 automatic bids in so far?
Yeah.
Let me just go back and check out these automatic bids so far. Automatic bids tracker.
D-Rap said, he said, yeah, my bad. I said Maryland to Florida, Florida to Maryland. I had it backwards. But he said, wow, y'all got to play and didn't fucking tell me. Nah.
You're driving, bro. Get off the phone. Bad, D-Rap.
Yeah, you got to get off the phone,
Maybe this isn't as updated as I'm thinking, but if it is, now it's got to be as updated as I'm thinking. Automatic bids now include Lipscomb, High Point, like we talked about. UNC Wilmington, they did take down Delaware last night. Robert Morris gets out of the Horizon League. Drake in the Missouri Valley, we talked about. St. Francis of Pennsylvania. They might lose their first-round game by 77, and I'm not exaggerating. I'm pretty sure that is like a 12-win team that won their tournament. And in their championship game, I don't know if you saw it, but I'm pretty sure they won like 43-41 or something like that. Like they are going to lose by 100 in their first round game. I don't know how they're Division I, but that's neither here nor there. SIUE for the first time, like we said, is in. Wofford is in from the Southern. Omaha, Troy, and Gonzaga. Obviously, Gonzaga and St. Mary's were both making the tournament regardless. But Gonzaga beat St. Mary's last night in a game that greatly pissed me off as a guy who bet St. Mary's plus 3.5. I don't know if you saw this. Gonzaga and St. Mary's accomplished the impossible last night. They now broke the record for the worst combined three-point percentage in conference championship history. They combined for worse than 1 for like 38. St. Mary's didn't make a three. They were like 0 for 15. And Gonzaga shot like 1 for 18 from 3. That's how bad this game was.
Disgusting.
The reason I bring this up to you, man, is the reason Gonzaga winning's big because it probably keeps them out of that 8-9 matchup, which then in turn does what? Keeps them out of that 1 matchup in the second round, if they were able to win. And I feel bad for whoever gets them in the first weekend. Like they underachieved this year. Underachieved. I think they were still like 20.
They're still
26
solid.
and 8.
Dude,
they're like a top 10 KenPom team.
Yeah.
Like they are efficient. They're big. They have great guard play. They have experience. And
they have the pedigree.
I feel bad for whoever gets them in that first weekend, man. Like, if you put it this way, they get a 7 seed, right? They beat the 10 seed on Thursday or Friday. Assuming that 2 seed doesn't get Cinderellaed, you feeling great if you're that? Like, what if you're Texas Tech as that 2 seed, or Iowa State as that 2 seed? You feel great in that 2-7 matchup first weekend?
No, not at all, man. No. No, that's a very good point. Gonzaga is a team to keep an eye on in the tournament, man. I did see some people with the ACC tournament too. I saw our guy Mark Henry put some money on Clemson to win the ACC tourney.
Yeah, I know that hurt. I know that's gonna rub you the wrong way. I don't think they're gonna win the ACC tourney. You know how I feel about Duke this year. Clemson is one of those 7 or 8 teams I mentioned to you about threats to win the tournament because of their top whatever fitting the mold the last 20 years. They're one of those teams. I think Clemson went to the Final Four last year, right? When they weren't really supposed to. They went to the Final Four. They're better this year. They're a very, very good team, man. I don't think they're winning the Natty or getting to the Natty. I don't think they're winning the ACC tournament, but they're a team that's going to make the Sweet 16, could make the Elite 8. Maybe they just made the Elite 8. I could be fucking up how far Clemson went last year, but I know they either lost to Illinois or UConn. I can't remember.
I just, with the ACC tournament, and I mean, obviously, just looking at it from a Duke perspective, always, but obviously they beat Duke.
Yeah,
was during the regular season. No, it was in Clemson for sure. So, yeah, take it with a grain of salt. And the reason I bring that up is because you play them again in the ACC tournament if that does come across. They won't sleep on Clemson, and that's always a big thing for me with these juggernauts is, when you've already lost to a team like that. But to your point, though, they are a dangerous team. They were I won't say easily, they were definitely the second best team behind Duke in the ACC this year. Probably Wake Forest was up there, too. Wake Forest was up there. Oh, Louisville. I'm sleeping on Louisville, too. I shouldn't leave them out. I think they actually ended up with the second best record.
It's crazy?
I do like Clemson over Louisville.
Scotty, bro, I don't think I've watched 1 second of Louisville basketball this year. I don't think I've seen them televised.
They kind of came out of nowhere. Like their coach ended up winning ACC Coach of the Year and shit because they, I guess, weren't expected for much. Yeah, it was more of like a surprise team. But they played really well. They came in second in the ACC. The ACC was majorly down this year.
SEC fucked them up this year.
Yeah,
which brings me to my point as we start to wrap up here, man. Like, don't underestimate whether you're from a gambling perspective or just watching it. Like, yes, the star of the show that's next week. I get that. But this week and this weekend is amazing. Championship week, and then if you think about let's just go to the SEC.
Yeah.
Right?
There's
that
be
SEC Final 8, Final 6, Final 4, Final Championship. Dude, you would love to see that in the national championship potentially. Obviously we want Duke to get there, but
I know what you mean though. We just watched Bama beat the number 1 team in the country in Auburn,
and they're lining up to possibly meet in the SEC championship this weekend. You have them, you have Florida.
Florida's nasty.
Yeah, dude. You in the Big 12, you have Iowa State, you have Texas Tech, you have Houston. Those two of those teams could meet in the Big 12 championship. This weekend's awesome as well. So
I agree, man.
You to find winners. We'll start to post them on the Twitter. I got to be better with that. I kind of place them and then just get lost and forget to get them out there and get them out there in time. I don't want to post a play 8 minutes
because it comes down to the wire a lot. But Thunder Celtics finals match. I mean, definitely a possibility, man. Just something about the Thunder just feels like they're chosen, so that means they won't get to the finals.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm wrong.
All right. Well, as we wrap up, bad ending to the half. We're still okay, though. The live total on ESPN's 133.5, so we're just slightly below pace. But it's 36-26, so they scored a combined 4 points in the last 3 minutes.
Need UTEP to come
I will address that. I absolutely cannot stand what coaches and players at the collegiate level do in the final minute and a half of the first half of games. Like, you ever see, like, you get a team gets a rebound with 57 seconds left.
Yeah.
Go 2 for 1.
Yeah.
They dribble the entire shot clock out, get up some stupid look, rebound on the other end. Now it's one possession for that team because there's no more shot clock. You got the ball with 58 seconds left. Go 2 for 1.
Duke does it every single time they get the opportunity, bro. It's something. Obviously, I love it. But it's smart. It's good basketball. Yeah. It's good coaching. Like, that's what you should do, to your point. Like,
I mean, they treat the final minute of the first half like it is overtime, double OT.
Like the game's about to end. You know what I mean? Like, gotta pound the rock, pound the shot clock.
Not even the last shot I get. You get a rebound with 27 seconds left, no shot clock. You dribble that bitch out.
Yeah.
Shot. What are you taking all 29 to 30 seconds off the shot clock for if you get the ball back with almost a minute? That is stupid.
Yeah. It's simple, man. You get the ball, 58 seconds left. You dribble the ball up the court, dribble handoff, whatever, screen and roll, whatever you want to do. Shoot the quick 3. Get the 2 for 1 possession to end the half. Like, it should be common sense, but I guess coaches want to staple in that patience and organized philosophy, but I don't know. I think it's more of like I feel like it's an NBA thing. Like, it's an NBA level type of thought. Because John Shire does it. And, Duke obviously models their teams after the NBA. But I'm just kidding. They don't play NBA basketball, man. That's why I do love Duke basketball, man. It gives me a break from that bullshit we watch in the NBA. But
college is such a funny thing. Like, because there's always the debate, college or NBA.
Yeah.
I was always growing up a college basketball kid over the NBA, and then Joel Embiid brought relevancy back, and I started to switch. I thought at one point there was so much talent in the NBA. I'm like, I don't think people realize like how talented this league is right now, and it's still that way. Yeah. But I'm back. Like, I swung back. I'm back, and again I get it. Like the Sixers have pissed me off to a great extent. It's just I'm a college basketball guy, especially this time of year. The only thing that hurt, it's two different devils. You got one league that don't give a fuck about defense. Like, you might have a game legitimately be 140 to 137.
Yeah.
That shit's crazy. But then you watch these college kids, no matter if it's Duke or Auburn or St. Francis, and they can't make free throws, and they smoke layups, and the final score is 67-61. And it's like, did I enjoy watching?
Yeah,
like I don't know. That. Like, so it's a tale of two halves.
The camaraderie of the college basketball game that I do love. That puts it a little like to your point. Definitely, college regular season is better than the NBA regular season because the games mean more. Like, it affects your seeding, it affects your ranking. Obviously, it affects the players that want to come to your university.
Yeah,
but
and just the one and done aspect of March Madness is why it's viewed as you know what I mean? Like, just that excitement level. So
exactly. And that's what I was going to get to. Like, the NBA playoffs are great for the most part, but are you taking that over March Madness? No. Like the NCAA tournament? Like, no, you're not. And so if the regular season's better, it means more. If March Madness is better.
The NBA has a problem.
Basketball is better.
We've talked about this before, but even when you get to the playoffs, like, yes, the playoffs are leagues ahead of the regular season when it comes to the NBA level of play and all, right? But when you think about it, like, I know it's tough. I don't want to take it too far. I'm not going to say the Stanley Cup playoffs, and you're not a hockey guy. I get it. The Stanley Cup Finals is one of the most electric, like, playoff.
When the Flyers were in the playoffs recently, I will say, man, like,
it's electric.
I'm not a hockey guy, but it was as electric as Sixers playoffs, and I think that speaks a lot to the fact that I'm not a hockey guy and I still enjoyed it that much from the Flyers.
And
so,
then
like,
you have March Madness, which tops it, and especially what the Eagles just did. And the one and done aspect, you got the NFL and the Super Bowl. Then that leaves the NBA, the MLB, and for there you can argue, but when you watch a Red October, then you sit there and you're like, man, there ain't nothing better. So it's the NBA's in a tough spot because
it is.
you can just compete. You have if again, they would help themselves greatly if they had a more meaningful regular season. The fact that you have tough competition when it comes to postseasons all around sports, and then you have a pretty shitty regular season, that's what makes it tough to hop back on board when it matters more. But you never know. You never know if things can change this year. And then you add into the fact, like, when the Celtics just sweep you know what I mean? Like when one team, in 4 and 5 and 4 and 5, it's like, man, what the fuck?
Like it probably would be more fun in the NBA if you're like a Western Conference fan, for example, right? Like where things are just so heated and like matchups are so crazy no matter who's playing each other, right? But in the East, it's just like, like it's just not. I don't know. It's not as fun, but maybe it is just simply because the Sixers are down that we feel like this.
Yeah, it definitely plays.
But I saw somebody bring up the idea of doing a one and done in the NBA. It will never happen, and it would be too much at the end of the day for me because it would change history so much.
Yeah.
But I mean, just imagine like Celtics versus who's in the, maybe not the Celtics, but I guess
I would ask you this.
Second seed.
And again, it's never going to happen. Game. It's never going to happen. And I'm not even a fan of the one game in terms of that. But would it be better if it was more MLB-like, where the first round is a best of 3 or a best of 5?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not until a best of 7 until the conference finals and the NBA finals. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like exactly, D, right? If you the first weekend, right, you get, I don't know, Heat versus Celtics in the past, not this year, but who's even like, you get the Magic versus the Cavs in the first round again, like you did last year. That's a best of 3, not a best of 7. Then it's not dread. You know what I mean? Because then you get into a 3-0 hole. That series is over, brother.
Yeah.
Like, and then maybe they win one, and now it's still another night, and it's like, it's like, come on.
You don't. It's like the balance, right? Because you say, and I don't mean you literally. I'm just talking in theory here. Like you would say, you don't want to do one and dones in the postseason because you want to see the best talent rise to the top and then play each other, right? But the NFL. That doesn't happen. It happened this year. It happened this year, but it doesn't happen every year that the best team in the NFL actually even makes it to the Super Bowl. So I don't know. It's interesting, because the NFL, are we just comfortable with the NFL? And obviously you're not doing 7-game series in the NFL. Right. But you can do like a one home, one away or something. I don't know. I'm not going to get that far deep into the idea. But we don't even go that far. We don't think about it because it's always been one and done. So that's what the NFL is. If the NBA was that, I don't know. It would be interesting, man. Like to your point, like of the Celtics, they're going to beat the Magic in a 7-game series. Over 7 games, the talent will show itself. But in a 1 or a 3-game setting,
which is why you allow it to get to 7 when you're talking OKC, Celtics,
the best teams,
finals, Lakers, whoever.
Exactly.
So that's the difference. But
all
right, man.
And we got way out there today, brother.
You got to. We're limited right now.
It's off season.
Let me go take the trash to the curb and then get ready for the second half. Throw D-Rab in a group chat and we'll get some late night.
Yeah, we'll get some plays in with D-Rab, my mans.
Guys, there's about 30 of you in here. If you're watching on Twitter, do us a favor. Check out the link tree in the bio and then find us on YouTube. Subscribe, share it with your friends, family, any other Philly sports fans you might know of that would enjoy it. We appreciate each and every one of you. For myself, for Scotty, for DSM, have a great rest of your night.